And one of the questions is, how do you move from these physical dollars to electronic dollars? I think the basic technology is going to take place on the internet. I think the specific platform in the emerging world is going to be on a cell phone platform. If you look at the numbers, there are about 360 million, about 150 million online desktop-based accounts today. That number is projected to grow to about 350 million in the next 5 years. However, with respect to cell phones, internet-enabled cell phones, they're just getting rolled out right now. They already have some significant penetration in Japan, in Finland, in Sweden. They're getting rolled out in Western Europe, the US next year. The numbers are projected to grow from about 10 million internet-enabled cell phones today to about 1 billion in 5 years. In 5 years from now, everybody who is a member of the middle class in the emerging world and in the developed world will have an internet-enabled cell phone. And this sort of a in China, the number is projected to go to something like 300 million cell phones, most of which will be internet-enabled. These people will have access to their bank accounts, and it will be very easy for them to move money into an account in a safe jurisdiction where the banks are not politically controlled, and they will basically be able to completely dollarize the economy. There will be no need to have any rubles or renminbi, and it will be non-traceable. No matter how illegal the Chinese Communist government says it is to hold US dollars, you will have a password on your cell phone, and the only way to stop this process would be literally to shut down the telecommunications network. And that's the kind of choice governments like China, India, some of these other countries are going to face. They will either have to shut down the telecommunications network and make it illegal for you to own a cell phone, or they will have to basically give up the kind of monetary sovereignty they've had and the enormous power that they've been able to wield as a result of this kind of sovereignty over the last many, many years. Now, the second theme is a little bit more speculative, and that is that getting rid of money altogether, going from digital dollars, from any kind of government-backed currency to purely private currencies. And what a private currency, or what private money, I think, fundamentally means is that there is no medium of exchange. You exchange value for value rather than exchanging value for something the government says has value for value. And whenever you have this intermediate step of the government saying something has value, that's where you have the subterfuge, the sort of legerdemain come in, the game of musical chairs, where every now and then a chair gets pulled out, and it turns out that you're the one holding a dollar bill that's all of a sudden become worth a little bit less. And the kind of exchange of value for value, the classic model would have been some sort of a barter model. That obviously has enormous transaction costs associated with it. These transaction costs go down in a digital age. And the kind of model that I think is the most likely to take place is one where you have other kinds of financial instruments that are very, very liquid. The one I would cite in the U.S. would be something like an index on the S&P 500, or some sort of generalized stock market index, where instead of having currency as being the place where you have value, it is in real property, real companies, things that actually have real value. And so that you might conduct business by trading not dollars, but trading little slivers of the S&P 500 or of particularly large stocks like Microsoft or something like that. My guess is that it might be the whole stock market as a whole, and that as you trade these things, that's where you have the kind that becomes in effect a de facto currency. Now, this is still pretty far-fetched, but it is not quite as far-fetched as you might think. And just as we've had people in Russia replace rubles with dollars, we have had people in the U.S. replace dollars with equity. I don't think the big fights on this are going to be fought in Washington, D.C. I think that, and actually it's for all the reasons Richard cited. The people in D.C. are completely backwards. They don't understand any of the technology, and even to the extent they can, it can't be stopped. You cannot stop things on the level of Washington, D.C. in terms of shutting down these encryption protocols, things like that.